Hi, so I'm gonna do the NES Godzilla creepypasta, Chapter 3, Trance. Here we go. I was still pretty shook up from the last level when I started Trance. Trance's map music did nothing to ease the tension. As for how to describe it, have you ever heard the theme from Videodrome? That's the closest thing I can think of it compared to. I checked to see who the new monster was, and it was Orga. A monster who didn't make his film debut about 2000, appearing in a game made in 1988. So much for my fears about Titanosaurus and Biollante. There's no way this game was made in 1988. Those guys at Toho may be smart, but I'm sure they couldn't see that far into the future. If they could, they never would have to have Roland Emmerich the rights to make a Godzilla movie. No, this had to be a hack of some kind, which was opening up even more questions. Who made this hack? When? How? And most importantly, why? The why question was the why question was the one that bothered me most. My immediate assumption was to think Billy did this to pull a joke on me. But that couldn't be right either. Billy didn't know how to make a ROM hack. And if he did, he'd probably just do something simple and stupid like replacing all the monsters with crudely John's genitalia. I hope I sounded out right. Unless Billy had amazing game editing skills and a serious dark streak in his imagination that he never told me about. He couldn't have made this. Is it even possible to put a hacked ROM into a cartridge? Aside from all of that, my eye was drawn into a new icon on the map. A question mark. I was really curious to what it did. I'm sure you're also curious. So I'll explain the quiz levels now, since this was to start appearing. There was one of these per map here on, and they always appear near the map. When you start a quiz level, you appear on a screen like this. As you can see, there's a question at the top, a yes and a no button, as an emoticon in the center. I refer to the emoticon as face. Real creative, I know. And for the convenience, I'll refer to the face as the one asking the questions. The music for the quiz level was a track actually in the game. It was one that plays when you use the Ghidorah cheat and get sent to an unplayable level. Face asks you yes or no questions, and you move your monster to the buttons for your answer. When you answer, the question disappears and face changes expressions for about 8 seconds. Then he goes back to neutral and a new question comes up. There was no time limit, not any right or wrong answers. Faces no respect for the player's personal boundaries, who will sometimes ask you deeply disturbing and personal questions. For example, do you like hurting people? Have you ever killed/raped anyone? Have you been molested by a family member? Other times he would ask questions that are even mind-numbingly stupid, like, is the sun hot? Is water wet? Or flat out ridiculous, like, does your dog like the president? And maybe once per quiz, Face would ask you a question about the game. With one exception, Face's expression changes seem to have no effect on the game, except for indicating what the game creator even thought of your answer. His reaction rarely made any sense. At first I thought they were randomly generated. The questions never followed a pattern. Face never stayed on the same subject for more than 2 questions. Early on, there were more questions. Made me think Face was building up to something. Then ask some stupid garbage. Here are the expressions of Face that I saw while playing. I'll separate them into two categories. The expressions I understood and the expressions I didn't. Here are the expressions of Face that I saw while playing. I'll separate them into two categories. And the expressions I understood and the expressions I didn't. First are the expressions I understood. Okay. Neutral, his default expression. Angry, if you try to attack Face, his expression changes to this, but nothing else happens. 3, sad. 4, happy. 5, sick. 6, maniacal. Face made this expression when he was being a butthole. You see what I mean later. 7, surprised. 8, love. 9, annoyed. 10, confused. And 11, guilty and hurt. And here are the others. Number 1, weird face. 2, Hulk face. 3, very hungry. 4, fancy. 5, mad/confused faced. 6, orange Mike Wazowski face. 7, upside down regular face. 8, stupid face. 9, the ninja. 10, clown. 11, admit. 12, strong. Well, cool. Whatever. 2 of these only appeared once, numbers 1 and 12. And I suspected they and in jokes from the creator. The respective questions were, do you like ice cream? And are you a tough guy? As for the questions in the first quiz, luckily I had a notepad and pen handy. I have problems remembering things, so I have to carry one to jot things down, and sometimes I do it when I'm bored. So when the first quiz I started, I thought I'd record what happened. I'm glad I did. Here are the first series of questions, my answers, and Face's reaction. Do you like the game? Yes. Reaction. Are you afraid? I'm a brave guy, so I'm gonna make it my own. No. Do birds have teeth? No. Is peanut butter good? Yes. Does the moon rotate? Yes. Have you had a job? Yes. Do you like hurting people? No. Is the sun hot? Yes. Do you like dogs? Yes. Is the president good? No. I mean, in 2021, there's Joe Biden. So I say no because my only fan was only Donald Trump. Does your dog like the president? Well, I don't know. I'll just pick no. Reaction, angry. Okay. Now I explained all that. Time for the gameplay. After the quiz level, I tried the new green temple icon first. Wow, maybe this is why the game was so weird. One of the designers was clearly drugged out of his mind. Jokes aside, I was quite impressed by the graphics of this level, as disorienting as they were, but I hate those creepy, blank, staring statue faces. The music had a hypnotic Indian techno vibe to it. There were 2 new enemies in this level. A flying ghost type thing with a trunk, and a bat with a horse skull for a face. They appear at random, but I was lucky to get a screen cap of them both. Then I proceeded to a Blue Mountain level, expecting another nice calm stroll. I took my time walking through and was completely taken by the surprise when this happened. Not Magira came speeding towards me and took off quite a bit of health off with his tentacle screws. It only took me 2 minutes to kill him without having to worry about a time limit. But the boss monsters never showed up in the scrolling levels in a normal game. I was worried as to what other rules in the game would break. After another Blue Mountain stage, it was time to fight not Varan, whose replacement was one of the most bizarre things in the game. This strange creature attacked you by kicking, and also opened up his chest and firing heat-seeking missiles. I still don't get it. The missiles were sometimes a pain to deal with, but I found out you could tail whip them out of the way. Navaram was probably the easiest out of the monster replacements. The same could be said for Nahadora. Apparently, his source of the horse bats, Nahadora was the most aggressive and really difficult monster to fight yet, mostly because of his special ability. He could shriek and summon a small swarm of those horse bat things. I know there's only 2 in the screen cap, but every time he did this, about 10 would arrive. The AI took advantage of this distraction and attacked twice as fast while the horsebacks were flying around. Once that annoyance was over with, I went through a green temple level to kill some enemies to restore my health. Interestingly, none of the horsebacks showed up after Nahadora was killed, and when I got Nagi, if killing all the monsters make the red face show up, what would happen if I avoid fighting Orga? Or and go straight to the base. So I gave that a try. The game told me there was no monster here, and I tried to start the base level, and immediately afterward, the game took control of my Godzilla piece and moved it in front of Orga. My little trick didn't work, so I tried to prepare myself for another chase. But first, I had to beat Orga. The fight with Orga confirmed another thing. Whoever created this game hack was clearly a Godzilla fan, not only because they picked a monster like Orga, but because they actually implemented something that happened in Godzilla 2000 in a really neat way. Orga's primary attacks were a punch and a heat beam from his shoulder cavity. But once you had him down to half his health, he did something new. He would expand his jaws and try to swallow Godzilla, in the process stealing your health and energy. But in doing so, he gave himself a new weakness, firing a heat beam into his mouth to take a test, staying 4 bars off his life meter. With that weakness revealed, I soon beat Orga, and despite how much I hoped otherwise, the red face appeared on the map where the base was, and the music stopped. I readied myself as best as I could. I started the level, and seeing that it was basically the same as first, don't waste a millisecond before I start hauling butt. I soon encountered obstacles in the form of ground tile suspended in air. Most of them you could just jump over and destroy. Others you have to crouch under. About 40 seconds, I heard the horrible annoying roar and saw the spider beast following close behind me. Stacks of obstacles barely slowed it down. It would back up and then charge his way through them, smashing them into bits. And when the smaller objects are on the way, it would expand its jaws and swallow them whole. Whoa. Dang, that's creepy, bro. I was afraid, but with fast thinking and faster button pressing, I escaped him yet again. I felt really excited, and so I laughed and said, "Not this time, butthole." I decided to take a screen cap to celebrate. But when I said that sentence just before it ended, the monster did something that made my blood run cold. It looked at me. The wave of mortal terror overtook me again, and I was sure as heck wasn't laughing anymore. I took another screen cap of the X level title. Right before I rushed to the bathroom, the last bathroom water on my face and had to take a pee that I nearly failed to contain when that freaking thing looked at me. The only level now is dementia. Bye.